Yeah, so unfortunately we had to go get a new washer and dryer and some lumber. The only reason I really strapped this stuff in is because I didn't want to lose the lumber. Gosh, lumber's so expensive nowadays, but it seems like it never ends. Whenever it rains, it pours, I guess, right? Our washing machine quit. Spent some money on it trying to fix it. Couldn't fix it, so took advantage of the Independence Day sales at Lowe's and went and got a new set. Now I got to do the unfortunate work of dragging the old set out of the house. So I found it kind of interesting when I was looking through the original certificate of origin that came from FCA on this truck. The dealership sent it to me because I have to go get my registration and everything done tomorrow. But anyway, on that certificate of origin, it lists these Gladiators as a half-ton truck, which makes perfect sense. You know, if you look at the gross vehicle weight ratings and the payload ratings and all of that, I mean, it's perfectly in line with where a lot of the full-size half-ton trucks are. So it makes sense. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting. So that leads us to the topic of discussion for this video, which is, do I miss my full-size truck? You know, there's a lot of people who've been shopping these, and I've seen it on the forums, I've seen comments on the social media pages. They'll say something to the effect of, man, I really like the looks of that Gladiator. I would buy one of those right now, but I just don't think it would be useful as a truck. You know, I really need a useful truck. And you know, as somebody who's had lots of full-size trucks and lots of mid-size trucks for that matter, and a couple of these Gladiators, let me just give you my opinion and kind of what I've noticed. Obviously I had a Gladiator, and then I went to a full-size Ram, and now back to a Gladiator again. So I've got a really good apples to apples comparison here. The bed on most of your full-size trucks, I'm talking about crew cab full-size trucks, you know, the standard beds are generally 5.5 feet, right? The bed on this Gladiator, 5 feet. So you're losing about 6 inches there. You can always put the tailgate down like I did in that clip that I started this video with. You can lay the tailgate down, then you have a 6.5 foot load floor. And it actually, I find, gives you a lot of space to put things. I mean, I had a washer and a dryer and some lumber in here in that video clip that I showed you. There was a time when I had a double burner outdoor grill and 6 patio chairs in the back of the Gladiator. I mean, I've hauled just about everything with the Gladiator that you could possibly haul with a full-size truck, with one of those standard short beds on one of those. So I find that in the cargo bed, I really don't miss a full-size truck. I mean, I really don't. There might be a couple of rare instances where that extra 6 inches would help you to be able to close the tailgate maybe. Like for example, when I haul my son's ATV, I could put it in the Ram and close the tailgate, just barely, but I could do it. In this truck, I wouldn't be able to close the tailgate. You know, it's not a big deal. You can still haul the thing just the same. You just can't close the tailgate. So I mean, there's some rare instances like that, you know, where there's a minor difference, but for the most part, everything that I've ever done with my full-size trucks, I've also been able to do with a Gladiator, as far as the cargo bed goes. So I don't really miss my full-size truck there. I just mentioned the payload capacity, which is the same as a full-size truck, so you're not losing anything there. So as far as, you know, hauling and carrying things in the back of the truck, no, I don't really miss a full-size at all. I mean, the Gladiator works perfect, and actually, I kind of prefer it because the smaller size allows me to fit in this garage a lot more easily. I don't have to use the tennis ball and then, you know, get it perfect. You know, with the Ram, I literally had just a couple of inches in the front and a couple of inches in the back by the garage door, you know, to squeeze that thing in here. This Jeep, I can just pull it right in and I'm good to go. It's much easier to park when you go to some place like Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart. It's so much easier to whip this Jeep into a parking space, whereas sometimes the Ram, I mean, it seems like you need a 1/4 acre to turn that thing around, you know. So when it comes to just, you know, going to the hardware store or whatever and getting a load of stuff, I don't miss the full-size truck at all. During the launch events, when the journalists were talking to Mark Allen, who's the head of Jeep design, they kept asking him about how narrow, or excuse me, how shallow the bed is on the Gladiator. He said that the reason that they designed it like this is so that you could reach in and grab stuff. I mean, you know, you can put your hand flat on the floor, reaching over the tailgate or reaching over the side of the truck there. And what that means is you can reach things in this bed. Now, I will tell you, you know, I'm about 6'3", and with that Ram 1500, I could not do this. I could not reach over and touch the floor like this. And there were a lot of times when I had to drop the tailgate and crawl up in the truck to get something. So there's something to be said for this, for the smaller size, the smaller form factor, the shallower bed. You know, I mean, if you're hauling stuff back here, there's something to be said for being able to just reach over and grab it. I mean, I like it. Now, where you do notice the huge difference is back here. This is where the big difference is, and as soon as you go from a Ram to a Gladiator, you will immediately notice it, especially if you have kids, because the space back here is just almost non-existent compared to the Ram. Now, the Ram has a completely flat load floor, whereas the Jeep, you can see the transmission hump there. The Ram also has a lot more leg room. You know, you can fold the seats up on the Ram, and you've got a big cavernous area to put things, you know, inside the cab, locked away and secure and out of the weather. And the Jeep just barely has enough room for a couple of knees back here if you've got teenagers or whatever. You know, if you pull up the seat, you can see how the cargo box, I mean, it comes way out. There's not a whole lot of space there. So, you know, if you're somebody who frequently hauls cargo and material and people, for that matter, in the back of your truck, in the back of the cab of your truck, the Ram, you know, or an F-150 or Silverado, I mean, any full-size truck is going to excel, obviously, you know, in that category. So that's where the big difference is, I think, between a full-size and a mid-size truck, is right here. Now, as far as the front row seating goes, obviously the mid-size truck is a little bit smaller, but in terms of driver comfort, I don't really detect a lot of difference here either. I mean, I've got a very comfortable place to put my elbow. You know, you've got a center console to rest your other elbow on. You can probably tell I've got the headrest turned around the other direction because in the forward direction, it was just annoying me. But I mean, in terms of driver comfort and everything, again, it's just, I mean, I'm comfortable. I mean, obviously it's a little tighter than a full size, but it's really not bad. And I think it's comfortable. I've had this thing on some long trips already, and it hasn't really bothered me. I haven't really missed my full size truck all that much as far as, you know, being in the driver's seat goes. Now, the one other thing I will mention is storage space. That was the thing that was just so amazing about the Ram, was all of the storage. You've got tons of cup holders, cubbies, you know, places to put things. And obviously in the Jeep, you just don't have any space for that. They didn't have space to put that kind of stuff in here. So you're missing a lot of, you know, like storage compartments and little pockets and, you know, stuff like that. You just don't have that in here. So storage is lacking. So I guess, you know, when you boil it all down, really the things that I miss about the full-size truck would be storage and then back seat space and comfort. Those are the two things that I kind of miss. But what you lose in back seat storage and space, and what you lose in storage inside the truck, you gain in the ability to park the thing easily, hit off-road trails and squeeze through obstacles more easily. You know, it's just a more enjoyable vehicle to drive day to day, especially in city environments. So just like anything else in life, there's pros and cons to everything. And in all honesty, that Ram was the nicest vehicle that I've ever had in my life. I was so blessed to be able to drive that for almost a couple of years. Best, nicest vehicle that I've ever had in my life. That thing was awesome. But I just have so much more fun and enjoyment driving this truck. Every time I get in this thing, I love it. Every time I start the engine, I love it. Every time I go to town and somebody wants to talk about it or gives me a compliment on it or says, hey, that's a nice Jeep, you know, and it kicks up a conversation, and then, You know, we start talking about their Jeeps, you know. It's just a lot of fun, and you just can't replace that. You know, the fact that there's 50 trillion aftermarket accessories for these things, you can really, you know, kind of customize it and make it your own, make it different from all the other ones out there. I mean, I can just go on and on and on. There's just something about having a Jeep. So, you know, the size doesn't bother me. I don't really miss it. And if you're looking for a truck and you really like the Gladiator, but you need a truck, you need to haul things and tow things and, you know, whatever the case might be, I would encourage you to give these a look. You know, don't underestimate them. Give it a try. I think you'll be really surprised what these trucks are capable of. You know, they tow really well, actually. They haul really well. And unless you've got a big family, I mean, if you've got like 3 or 4 kids, then no, you know, this is not the vehicle for you. You know, but if you've just got, like, say it's you and your girl and you got a small kid or maybe 2 small kids, you know, this is still going to be fine. You know, you're still going to be able to get your car seat in there. You know, the kids are going to grow up into teenagers and be able to ride back there okay. It's not going to be a problem. And you're just going to enjoy this thing so much together. So don't underestimate it, guys. It's a cool truck. It's a useful truck. And I don't really miss the full size at all.